And now, a word from
Infirmary Media.
Hey dudes and dudettes, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Be Kind and Rewind podcast. A podcast chock full of everything nostalgic about the 80s, 90s, and more. With nostalgic celebrity interviews and movie commentaries, I'm your host Carlos, and this episode, we're getting into everything about the mid-2000s MTV classic Pimp My Ride, hosted by Xzibit, along with Pimping Our Own Ride with nostalgic items, and I'm joined by my lovely and beautiful wife, Sarah.
Hello, everyone.
Here we are. So, Pimp My Ride.
So you want to be a player, but your wheels ain't fly. You got to hit us up to get a pimped out ride.
You got to pimp my ride.
Damn right.
You got to pimp my ride.
Loved it.
What do you remember about the show?
I remember watching it on sunny afternoons in my
It
house.
was on constant airplay.
Yeah, at my house with my brothers. Saturday mornings, hungover high school days. Really cool concepts, but totally whack as well.
Yeah, it will get into the whackness of it eventually, but yeah, it's definitely something that like it defines like the mid 2000s, I would say.
And just like the pure extravaganza that like the millennial mindset has become that everybody hates us for.
I would feel the millennial version. They'd just be like, "Oh, can I get this touchpad of this? Can I get this like social media thing?" And they're like back in the day, and when we get into the nostalgic items, I can't wait to. It'll definitely define how different generations would build their car.
Yeah. I mean, I just like I'm not that old, but it was one of those. But why? But like awesome. But why? So that's what. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. It was one of those. It was 2004 to 2007, so that was like prime, just getting into college for me. You were what, like a senior in high school? Is that what it was?
Hey, I was a senior high school freshman in college.
There you go.
So.
Yeah, and so I was living with buddies our first few years of college, partying a lot,
Secretly
staying up late.
Drunk here.
Yeah, and late nights. This show would be on constantly, and you just have to watch to see how they would turn this Ford Pinto into some sort of
did they not have
pimped out
celebrity
ride.
guest appearances too? Like, was there always a celebrity attached to it?
Not always, but I think they had some celebrities who'd come in, like the guest host.
For some weird reason, I'm remembering Ludacris.
Chameleonaire came on.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And we'll talk about that later. Yeah, there's a
okay.
reason why he came on. It wasn't just because they, it was for the good charm. There was a behind the scenes
Is
story.
he a St. Louis man?
I don't know.
I think he is.
Yeah.
I'm probably wrong. Okay, moving on.
The only thing when I think of Chameleonaire now, I only think of the Weird Al, the nerdy song.
They see me mowing my front lawn. I know they're all thinking I'm so white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Can't you see him?
No idea. I just go straight to a chameleon. I'm like, ooh, does he change colors? What's going on?
They're riding dirty. Yeah.
Oh, that's him. That's him.
That song.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the show came out 2004, 2007, hosted by Xzibit, which West Coast rapper.
Another rapper, yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't like the prominent West Coast rapper, but he was, he was in the middle of the game, I would say. I guess he toured with like Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and Eminem on the Up in Smoke tour. Do you remember the Up in Smoke tour back in the day?
Doesn't it still exist?
No, but it was like this, like they
I think Slightly Stupid was also on this one, right?
I don't think so. I'm not
No.
sure. Maybe,
Okay.
maybe not. But I only know like the main headline. Like it was like Ice Cube and everybody who was like the West Coast, like Ice Cube, Dre, Snoop Dogg, and then of course Xzibit was part of that. And that was just like a huge phenomenon, like rap phenomenon for a few years because like that was like the what is it, the four greatest, what is it, the Mount Rushmore.
Who knows? But now Snoop Dogg is on a show with Martha Stewart. So,
That's true.
yeah.
It was the Mount Rushmore of rappers, and so he was part of that. So it's like, oh man, this guy's he's doing his
Xzibit
thing.
was?
Yeah,
Wow.
and so he had some good songs. He had this Paparazzi and some pretty decent albums back in the day, but nothing of note like Dr. Dre and those guys. So he was kind of looking to get into, acting and things like that. And this kind of show came along, and it worked out. He went from being known as like this rapper from people from the West Coast to soccer moms recognizing him, he said.
Well, and it's funny because I feel like this show then kicked off. Like, remember that one show? I loved it. God, I don't remember the people's names, but it was the West Coast Chopper guys. So it's like, I feel like this was the first like car renovation show. And then it was like into like choppers.
I think it was Orange County Choppers.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah,
God,
with the
great,
dad and the son.
The dad, the son,
always
and then
fighting.
Junior. Yeah, and then it was like some actually really
I
sad
own
shit.
this place.
Yeah, you're like, oh my God, like please tell me you're in therapy.
Yeah,
But
no, I watched. That was another one that was like on constant loop that I would watch all the time too.
I wonder
Same
what those
time.
guys are up to.
Well, they had. I know that they had a big falling out. They don't talk anymore. Like the son
Somebody
started his
probably
whole
sued
like new company. Somehow this news
Remember?
came real
Oh,
quick to me.
Mikey was the one. that
Mikey was like the long hair, just like, I'm just here to have a
the
good
nerdy-
time.
Yeah.
He is chilling. He was just living off the family money, which is whatever. He was cool. But yeah, these shows are like very similar in regards like they were.
But I feel like Pimp My Ride, and I would like to figure it out. Maybe we can figure out, or some commentator or whatever. Was Pimp My Ride the first car renovation show?
No.
Oh.
It was maybe first of its kind in regards to like how weird they got, but not the. I don't think it was definitely not the first car renovation
I can't wait
show.
to hear your requests.
Oh yeah, mine's pretty solid.
I kind of feel jaded. You had a sneak peek of mine.
I know. I was interested. I shouldn't have asked you. I should have waited till the podcast, but I was coloring your hair, so I had to get the gossip.
Weird night at the Sanchez
Weird night at the house tonight. Dylan was supposed to be here. Of course, he has got a weird schedule with work, so sometimes he makes it, sometimes he can't. So he couldn't last minute. So, of course, Sarah comes in, but we had our own little task to take care of.
Hair crisis. I'm a hairstylist. I saw a picture of myself. I looked like Chucky the Clown with my copper orange
I thought it was
hair.
I thought it was your Pennywise
Time
the clown
to go.
from It.
So my painter of a husband. Okay, back to him.
So
These people don't care.
some of them might. So yes, each episode, they would take this, crappy car and, turn into they would get like the personality of the person to kind of be like, oh, well, you love to play music. Let's put a huge guitar amp in your, back of your guitar or back of your car. So like try to incorporate personality things. So that's when you start getting all those weird over the top.
I can't
like,
remember.
what
Did
is
they have a
this?
family member like liaison to be like, actually, Cheryl would not like that fuzzy fur carpet.
If they did, they wouldn't even let half those cars even get in the first place. They'd be like, this person just needs a new car.
inspection? Like,
Yeah.
What is it? What's the when you go and take it at the Intermountain? You have to do it like every couple of years to get your engine revved and the car goes.
Oh yeah, the
emissions.
Emissions
How
test.
do any of those pass the emissions test?
A lot. I mean, because a lot of states don't require
That's
it.
true, that's
So we're in Colorado, so it's required. But in some states like California, probably in that time, it was not a requirement. So you could get away with driving your '86.
Imagine being pulled
Honda.
over in one of those.
Yeah. So that's the thing is like they would bring in these hoopty cars that you just needed to just dispose of and just get a new car. But they were like, oh yeah, we're going to put plasma TVs in here. We're going to put a brand new stereo.
Let's put a truck bed.
Like the value of everything out there is like 10 times what the car is worth. So it's just like, and trying to sell that, I can't even imagine.
And can we just say, what kind of shit gets stolen? We know how that is.
Yeah. If
I
you have
would
like
love
some
to know the accident
exterior
reports or
thing, I'm
something.
sure it got ripped off
Yeah,
in no
yeah.
time. So they had two different shops that did it. I guess it was West Coast Customs, and then they had Galpin Auto Sports, which I mainly remember West Coast.
Do you think that's? Oh no, that was West Coast Choppers. Is that the same?
Well, maybe it was Orange County. I think is what it was. I may not be right, but I'm pretty sure it's Orange County.
Okay.
But West Coast Customs.
Yeah.
That was like the main one because I always remember their main guy, Mad Mike.
Was he the one with like the ball? He was kind of bald.
I think that was the other guy,
Okay,
Bo.
okay.
Mad Mike. He was the other cat,
Yeah,
and so they had two different ones. I think one for a few seasons, the other one for the last season or two. I remember West Coast Customs. I guess they were getting lots of good promotion for this show because, of course, it's on MTV. It's pretty heyday of MTV. A lot of people watching, and maybe they didn't think they were getting the type of cut that they and the type of publicity I guess they deserved. So I think that's part of the reason why they shifted over to the Galpin for like the last season or two. So I think there's a little following out. But yeah, like we said, they would customize these cars, tailored to people's personality. I guess some guy had he was a Need for Speed fan, so they they gave him like a Need for Speed game within the car. A bowler that had a spinner installed trunk, a badminton player. So yeah, that's just the beginning of some of them, how crazy it gets. And then let's see here. So yeah, there's Southern California, Los Angeles. So, LA at the time, that was.
I've never been. I don't know.
What? No. Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, I made my first trip just this last year, and I definitely would go back.
Yeah.
I would be excited to go back. I don't know. I know you have your ups. You don't know how you feel about LA, but
Harry Potter World.
yeah,
but I
this
would
is true.
definitely make a trip to West Coast Customs because I would need to see that logo. I would love. I mean, I bet you I wonder if they have like a brick wall with like the logo out. That you could take Instagram pictures on.
Oh, I'm sure you
yeah.
can show up, no problem.
Yeah.
I would go out there again, definitely, because of the Harry Potter World that I accidentally visited without you. It was on accident. I'm sorry.
I forgive you. It's fine. We'll leave that here.
But let's see here, and of course at the end of the show they show the finished custom ride, and it looked like half the stuff was glued on.
Well,
to be honest,
and I really I am one for no poker face. Like, I believe one time I got for Christmas like a car DVD visor. CD
are you talking
visor.
about all the CD visors? Oh yeah,
And
those.
it's like-
But that was you can't lie. That was legit.
No, but this is like 2
gift
years
back
ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking like 2004.
No,
I was
it's
like,
like
that was solid.
2 years ago. So it's like one of those, like when you walk in and it's like this big unveil and you're like, like some of you're so excited. Christmas morning, like you're ready, like, what am I going to get? Like, what can I put to good use? You turn the corner, you see a brand new car, and it is just like a let down.
Who gave you that?
I can't tell you.
It'll be disclosed later. Okay, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder, like, do you have to practice your reactions? What's your poker face? Like,
I would
just need a little, like, hey, this is what's up. This is what we put in your car. Like, I like surprises. I'm all for surprises, but sometimes with these,
I wonder if they go the house hunters route, where like they see it in advance.
I would
they
love to know
check
the
everything
production.
off before it's done, and so when they see it, they've already known that was what's going to be. I'm sure that's probably not how they did it. I'm sure these kids, because a lot of these times these kids are like barely like 20 years old.
And this was like reality TV at its
this
newest.
is like
this was so new.
It's still Wild West.
Yeah.
It was like even more Wild West back then.
Like big people still watch like Big Brother. You know? Like,
so I mean they're getting away with whatever. They're like, oh, you're 20 years old and you want your car, fixed up. Yeah, sign this and we get to do whatever with your car. You don't have any say basically.
okay, can we get to what your Pimp My Ride would be?
Oh, we're saving that for last. That's
dang
the
it.
build up. It's the
huge
tension.
anticipation.
We're building the tension.
All I want to talk about.
So, what we're gonna get into is I actually listened to a podcast the other day with Xzibit. He was on the Breakfast Club and he was talking about his days with Pimp My Ride. Like I said earlier, something that he wasn't really looking to get into. He wanted to kind of get into acting. He had been in a few roles. I can't remember which ones he had been in, but it's more like just small like bit roles. This was like his first opportunity to be more of the lead in front of the camera type of thing.
Right now.
The what?
The Gina Rodriguez right now.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other story. She needs to go.
I love me some.
I
Gina.
told you she needs to go rom-com first and then make her way into the action. She's jumping too quick into the action, I think. But I may be eating crow. That movie may gross $1 billion for all I know.
So woo.
Who
Love
knows?
her.
But Xzibit didn't quite make it like that. He was always kind of in the background. But they came to him for the show, and he was hesitant because he'd always been known as a rapper, and he kind of wanted to be known just as a rapper, maybe like more of an actor artist, not like a host. But of course, they're paying him pretty well to do it. So why not jump into it?
Hey, new house.
Yeah, exactly. And so, of course, he started noticing, his record sales going up, CD sales. This is when people actually bought CDs still,
I
like the
remember
last
stopping
bastion
at
of it.
Walmart on my way to school to pick up the newest Rascal Flatts CD.
Oh, wow.
I had to go get that CD and had to listen to it.
Did you get
to
the single or did
Oh
you
my
get
God.
the full?
It was from like Walmart to my school was like 3 minutes, but I had to listen to that Rascal Flatts CD in that 3 minutes. So I get you on that CD thing. School started at 7. I had to get to Walmart.
And so he was starting to see a little more the demographic go from just hip hop enthusiasts to, like you said, the soccer moms and everything else. And then also he felt that the show would enhance his music career. It did.
Did he do any music on the show?
No, that was the thing. He thought that they were gonna like feature a lot of his music, like maybe there'd be a lot of cuts to his music videos or just use his music in the background. No, they use like the corniest, like whatever is in the
Spoofy,
whatever is in the catalog already. They already used that, and so yeah, that was one thing that he kind of was. He was kind of like, I wish they would have used more of my own music, which you understand. You would understand thinking if they would approach you for hosting a show that you could license your music.
Beggars
Maybe
can't really be choosers. Like, he had to realize the opportunity that was in front of him.
Yeah, maybe.
He was the host of this show. Like, you can't get too greedy,
Well, that's the thing too. Is like he was getting the exposure for being on the show, like getting more people who notice him, but he wasn't able to tour or write as much either. Yeah, because he was so committed. Like they were filming a lot of these episodes for these shows. Cause I can't remember.
I would never want to be in Hollywood. I know.
I mean, he was getting paid. I mean, he's living off that money, off the royalties, probably.
That's true.
The show went international. We'll get into that here in a second. But yeah, he felt it kind of hindered his music career because he wanted to tour. He couldn't tour as much. He couldn't write as much, do anything as much as he was before.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, I guess the reason it ended because on like one of the last days he was on set or he was finishing up the last season or episode on his contract, they basically roped him in for one last. Was like, oh yeah, we need you to film this last episode. Where he's like, well, I'm already going to be off. Like, he's already had a tour set he's getting ready to take off for. And they're like, we'll fly you back and all this and that. And he demanded $1 million. I'll do it for $1 million.
This.
And
this was like the big news back in the day.
Yeah, he's like, I'll do it for $1 million. So like, well, that's not in the budget. We can't do it. He's just like, and then I guess he in this interview, he had mentioned that they made an off comment that, well, anybody with braids, we can find anybody with braids to do it, which is not the nicest thing to say to somebody.
Would not fly today.
Yeah, or then, but that's when Chameleonaire came in. He stepped away, and then they brought in Chameleonaire.
Okay.
So they brought in Chameleonaire, and that's when we started seeing him as a guest, quote unquote, host. But he was basically the new host at that point.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I totally forgot.
We all it's a circle. Bring it back.
Okay, now to your dream car.
No.
Damn it!
You're getting
the
into
anticipation is killing me.
Or
it's the red wine. I'm not sure.
We're getting into the international part of it. Okay. The show was so popular that it had international adaptations, including Pimp My Ride UK, Pimp My Ride International in Central Europe, other adaptations in Brazil, Indonesia.
I would love to see what it's like in Indonesia. I've never been, hope to go, but I would imagine if it was anything like Costa Rica with all the
with the little push carts or what are the
little fucking mopeds.
Oh yes,
like with all the how you go and we have a scooter. Like how are we
well,
gonna? Pick
they'd
our
have to make
scooter?
passenger cars because we saw plenty of them with like families on a scooter.
Passenger car. Although if we had a passenger car, I'd be scared for my life because with those turns in the city, can you imagine? Like I would just go flying.
I'd be Kid Rock, you'd be Joe C on the sidecar.
I would drive. You would be in the passenger.
So they had Indonesia of the the Baltic countries, and then also CMT did Trick My Truck.
Series,
did you? I have no idea.
It.
You watched that?
Yeah, remember we used to watch CMT all the time.
Well, we were watching for like the
That Redneck
Jeff
Vacation.
Foxworthy show.
No, that
whatever it
Redneck
was.
Vacation. Remember?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
one. That was
yeah.
pretty solid.
That was solid.
But you watched the Trick My Truck?
No, but I just remember it from watching that series that was like commercials.
So I guess one of the international shows is hosted by Lil Jon and Fat Joe.
What is Fat Joe?
Because when I think international appeal, I think Lil Jon and Fat Joe.
I feel so bad for Fat Joe. Talk about pigeonholing yourself into like your character. What happens if you get skinny? You cannot call yourself Fat Joe.
Have you seen cars in Europe? There's no car bigger than a Fiat out there. And Fat Joe's trying to get in some of these things. What's going on?
He has to ride the bus.
I mean, he's got his own transportation.
He must ride the bus.
Yeah, and then of course they had it in Germany, aired in MTV Central. In Hamburg-based bike shop is what they did instead of cars. They fix up motorcycles.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I would love to watch that.
Yeah, I'm surprised that MTV didn't. I mean, they may have. We're probably just way past it at that point. But I'm surprised they didn't like showcase this. And now, even for like our generation being a little bit older, international stuff is huge. Like people love
go
watching
back to, like,
BBC,
Trick My Razor
House
Scooter,
Hunters
though.
International. Why not Pimp My Ride International? I'm sure. Let's bring it back, MTV. Pimp My Ride
I want the
International.
Pimp My Razor scooter outside.
Pimp my scooter.
My bird or lime scooter. Like, how else can we upgrade?
People are like, can you pimp my my college student loan, please? I need that taken care of.
Pimp my apartment cat tree. Thank you.
Let's see here. Yeah, so the German show, like I said, it was just a twist on the American version. It was the motorcycles. Let's see here. They had a Pimp My Farhad, which
What is that?
I don't, and it pimped anything from a bathroom
A Ferrari?
and a doghouse to a birthday party or even someone's brother. So it's like makeover for anything.
I believe they had that, and it was called like Swan or something on ABC.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Do you remember that? It was a reality show where they took a person and like did like a head to toe plastic
yes.
surgery makeover. So they
The most like
one-upped.
superficial thing you could put on television.
And then they like unveiled this person in front of a mirror in this castle in this ball gown. And I was like, what do you think of your new you?
Yeah.
Luckiest person alive. They got all that for free, but yeah, they one-upped Pimp My Face.
There's the other one. It was Pimp My Wheels in Italy.
I remember. Wait, oh no, they were always all about the wheels.
Here, this is yours. This is old rusty motor scooters or motorcycles into brand new shiny vehicle.
Yes.
Babe, that's it. We need to go Italy.
How do we apply? Let's go.
We got to revive it or at least
Actually, we
find
just
it to
needed
watch it.
Start. We just need
should.
them to pimp our scooters so that it starts consistently.
We just need to start pimping out scooters that are locked to things. and then when people get out and start like, what are you doing? Like, look what we did. That'll be our way out.
There were like 5 parked there one time too. It'd be perfect business.
Like, you son of a bitch. Like, oh, actually, thanks. Like, that's right. So yeah, it exists. It's out there.
My hair is flopping.
Uh-oh.
The hair color.
May have to readjust. And the last one was Pimp My Room in the Netherlands. Features friendly competition between 3 students to see who will win the university student bedroom or apartment overhaul. The room is pimped, basically. MTV had a different one with Ryan Dunn, who from Jackass, which you're a huge fan of, right?
Not. Bunch of jackasses.
Rest in peace, Ryan Dunn. I am a huge fan of Jackass.
That he is, to an annoying degree.
What?
I'm joking. It's not that annoying.
And Viva La Bam and all that good stuff.
You're just obsessed with Bam.
Bam's awesome.
Bam is not awesome.
Well, I mean, back in the day, it was awesome to watch him do
Bam is
all
a
those
loser.
shenanigans. I mean, as a 16, 17-year-old kid watching this 22, 23-year-old guy who's a millionaire at this point do whatever the hell he wants, it's pretty cool
And then
at
you
the time.
realize the cost of his medical bills.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he
and-
just limps all over the place
Yeah.
now, I'm
Yeah.
sure. But
he's gonna be like a concrete cast iron person at the age
I would
of 50
say
because his bones
it's more
are
of
so
nostalgia.
soldered.
It's more nostalgic respect, I guess, is
Okay.
what it is.
True,
As
I'll give
opposed,
that.
I'm fawning over him now.
Okay, moving on.
I love how you always run these podcasts. You're just like, you know what? Just time to move on.
Because we could get lost on a tangent.
Hey, it's nothing wrong with a little
I mean,
tangent here
good
and there.
banter is good, but I don't think
Yeah.
people want to listen to us banter for long.
You're right. Well, we're moving on to the next category anyways,
There you
because
go.
Pimp My Ride was a great show, but it wasn't without its controversy.
Ooh, I didn't know any of
Yes,
this.
so
If y'all have not picked up, I did not do any research on this because it was very.
it was last minute.
It was
But hey,
last minute fill-in,
you watched the
so-
show. That's pretty much the qualification for this episode. If you just heard that noise, that was our third guest, Stella, our cat. Just jumped into her favorite box so she can be a guest today.
On to the controversy.
So the controversy for the show has got a lot of actually a decent amount of controversies. On 3 occasions on season finales, they did not pimp the original automobile.
Ooh.
In the final episode of season 1, the car to be pimped was actually 2 halves of Ford Escorts welded together to make one car, cut and shut job, and was declared unsafe.
See, that's what I'm saying. They would take like a Camry and put it on like a Ford F-350 on the back of it. Like
That's what they
I
do.
can't
Those like
pass.
the beginning of those Lincoln Navigators that were like limousines. Like a lot of them were just like welded by guys who just got like who worked for some other dude.
Yeah. All I know is one time I had a little Honda Civic that did not pass the emissions test, and you cannot tell me that there are not cars that are out there. Like, how in the world? So that makes me very happy to hear.
Yeah. So the next one in the final episode of season 5, Xzibit felt the owner's car, a Nissan Pulsar, was not worthy of fixing as the heat from the car's engine and battery fluid was leaking into the cab, creating a fire hazard. No word on what they replaced it with, but something they were pretty solid on that. They would give them like not a brand new car, but a newer, less shittier car. So I would take that if my car didn't get pimped.
I would take any car. I'm carless right now.
Yeah, it's true. You got a scooter, you have transportation, but
I
it's pretty
do.
cold outside. The
icy.
winter vortex just hit us. We didn't get as bad
it's
as
50 degrees today.
as Chi-Town in
Yeah.
Minnesota. Let's see here. In the last one, the final episode of season 2, they were unable to pimp a 1963 Ford Fairlane. The participant, she was 19 years old, hoping to become a mechanic, and so West Coast Customs and Xzibit let them take him home and restore the car themselves. And they procured a 2005 Toyota 4Runner to pimp. I gotta see what this because at 2005, that's the same model.
It's the same model?
Basically, the same
Ours
model
is
we
a
have.
little old lady.
Yeah, it's they're basically the same at that point. They haven't quite
That'd be
updated.
so sad. I love the original model we have.
Yeah, at that point, that was like the last year they had the older version.
Okay, so Carlos decided to quote unquote pimp our 4Runner. And what did he do? And I was a little sad. He got a new stereo system in it. It's so sad to see the original go.
I mean, it needed to go.
It needed to go, but like that was our Pimp Our Ride, and I was terrified.
How do I
So,
expect to talk to people while I'm driving?
I
With
wonder
the
the
Bluetooth.
the anxiety of these people as they give their cars away to be pimped.
I'm sure there's not much anxiety when the car is worth like $1,200. You're just
I don't
like,
know.
well,
I'm
you-
kind of a control freak. I would be
decrease my
so- I'd be
value of my
like,
car.
What color are you doing? Like, I need to know where you're putting that fuzz. Like, is there going to be some dice hanging? What side is the DVD player on? Like, yeah, I can see the controversy.
Well, I guess I need to correct myself what I said earlier. I guess in all these instances, the vehicles of the participants were replaced with brand new cars with extensive modifications to make to customize each car for the owner. So they did the brand new stuff.
Wait. So they took their original car and pimped it out.
No. They would dispose of it. There were 3 different times they're like, we it's not safe or it's not worth it.
Okay.
So we gotta.
I thought, okay, never mind. Moving
So
on.
they would get rid of the old car and brand new car would come in and they'd pimp that one out.
Okay, never mind. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, they got a new car.
Well, I
out of
got
it?
ahead of myself too. So the other controversy is Viacom, the owner of Pimp My Ride franchise, made legal threats against a number of small business owners who used the words "Pimp My" in business names. Businesses using the names "Pimp My Pet," "Pimp My Snack" have been threatened with legal action for alleged breach of trademark owned by Viacom. So the website "Pimp My Snack" is now owned by is known as Pimp My Snack. So yeah.
I feel bad for these people because nowadays nobody's buying that shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of those, like, if you try to build your business off like a trend that's going on right at the moment, I don't think it's never
As
a
Shark
good idea.
Tank would tell us, make it fast and then sell that.
if Mr.
License
Wonderful
that.
would say, then he'd say license that out. But yeah, no, I don't think it's never a good idea to just base your whole business off a trend. Let's see here, and then they let's see, shit.
Ooh, elements of the show were faked.
Oh yeah, I got ahead of myself here. So the participants who had their cars overhauled on Pimp My Ride have stated that elements of the show were faked, like you just said. So these included cars getting their paint removed and additional litter put on before taping to make sure starting condition looked worse. Oh, so they're just making it try to look more terrible in the beginning. Cars getting outfitted with elements that were
It
removed
was
from taping.
Instagram before.
I
the
told you they taped
Instagram.
stuff on there.
For what? Wait,
A robotic arm was taped on there. Contestants being coached to act more enthusiastically. Told you,
About
they,
the
like you.
reveal, yeah.
That's what you're saying is
Yeah.
that they're faking it possibly and.
I mean, it's like House Hunters. I don't want to ruin this for anybody, but like we were talking about earlier with House Hunters, the one that they picked is the one that's always furnished. People, they always pick the furnished one.
No, that's true.
It is. It is so true.
It is so true.
I've had clients that have gone through House Hunters. I've had a friend that went through House Hunters. Like it is not well, it is staged. Yeah. Okay, moving on.
So I guess other things participants have said that the overhaul process implied in the show says it's only a few days, but it actually lasts 6 to 8 months.
Whoa! Did they give you a rental car?
I don't know. I would
What?
hope so. If they're buying people new cars, I'm sure they provide them some
Yeah,
sort of
that's
rental.
true. I mean, it's a shock with not having a car for the first couple months. We've done it for 2 years. We've had one car for 2 years, but
But
for
to, what if
6
not
to
have,
8
but that to not have
months,
any, yeah, that would
and
be
knowing
terrible.
that your car was perfectly fine, and then it's only going to be totally fucked up at the end.
And I'm sure like in LA transportation, public transportation, I've heard is not the greatest. So yeah, you need a rental car. I'm sure they provided. But so many of those who rides were pimped were surprised to discover that the customization to their cars were in fact not quite as free as the show portrayed, because the show
Always.
paid for the improvements / customizations, but officials from the IRS and California Tax Authority felt a little bit differently and considered this to become income paid to the pimpee. So much like game show winnings, the equivalent market value of the improvements were reported as the federal and state authorities, with several pimpies being stuck with tax bills amounting to several
Of
$1,000s.
course.
I mean, it's just
Why
like
would
whenever
they
you win
think
something like on the price, when
otherwise?
people win like those cars and the price is right, it bankrupts some people because like, oh my god, I have to pay the taxes on that thing, and like people there going there like have $1,000 for their
the
name.
thing about people who win cars on shows like that, they can sell it. Like turn around, sell it.
That's
You're
what
not
you have. I
taxed.
mean, that's what
But
a lot of them have to
you cannot
do.
sell a customized
No.
car with a bubblegum dispenser as the air machine. Like some of the things were so ludicrous. Like those poor people cannot go around and sell that car.
No, it's theirs forever at
Yeah,
that point. And yeah,
unfortunately.
and if you have a couple, like you just basically, the couple thousands you owe in that taxes or whatever, you could have just used to pay for actual improvements to your car or buy a new car.
I would also love to know how much time these people spent in their cars, because I spend probably like a total, and I get it, I don't have a normal commute, but maybe 30 minutes a day in a car. Like I would only want all these things if it was multiple, like I don't need an espresso machine. I have my coffee.
If I was like 15 and I'm just getting my license and I know I'm gonna have this car for like 4 or 5 years, then yes, that's the prime age. But when
Did you
excuse
say
me.
when you were 15?
15 or 16, when you're
Oh, I
about to
was
get
like,
your
you don't-
license,
Yeah, I was like, you don't get a car when you're 15.
some people do.
Maybe.
But the point is to get it when you're younger, because when you get a little bit older in your 20s, you're not going to be utilizing the ping pong table or whatever crazy stuff that's in your
I always
thing.
loved the speakers in the trunk. Like, okay, I get it. You want to like have some like awesome
You
music,
want an
but
aquarium in
when we
your-
go on our Costco run, I need the space for the toilet paper and the paper towels. It just has to happen.
Yeah.
So
it's just not efficient. So
I would love
I
to
think
talk to these
they
people
should have
now.
done it for like people who are like just turning 16. And
That would have been a good demographic.
yeah, because like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna have this car till like maybe 19
But
or
then they couldn't
20
pay
for at least
taxes.
4 years.
So the show should have never existed.
And then they could have just like given it to their parents, or they could have driven the car off a ravine for insurance purposes. Who knows?
I feel like this has gone like very negative towards Pimp My Ride.
no.
No, we're just like pointing out the bad
No,
controversy.
we're in the controversy part of
I
this.
really can't wait to hear what you're.
But we're about to get into the some of the more over the top, obscure custom features right before we get into our custom features.
It's
We're
the
getting
red
there.
Wine. I just can't wait.
We're getting there. We're almost there. So some of the things, some of the cars they got, some of the hoopties that got pimped out. That's a Dacia Hijet 1988. They spent $20,000 of goods put into this car. Painted it blue and silver with gray flames.
Because who doesn't want gray flames?
Exactly. The wraparound couch, a 15-inch TV, and tiny fridge. Of course, they had to pimp out the stereo system. The mid 2000s were obsessed with the mini cameras, like for whatever reason. Like you only need it for if you're backing up, and even then, you don't really need it.
That's because the iPhone didn't exist yet.
That's true. That's true. So yeah, they're all about the mini cameras and monitors for the customs. I'm pretty sure that was like the only thing they had in stock was like tiny 6-inch monitors that nobody will watch anything on ever. They did a 1990 Mitsubishi Mirage painted blue that matched the neon they put on the bottom. Sounds awesome.
Okay, but you know what I do like neon these days? The bike wheels. Whenever
like
you
the
see
glow in the dark wheels,
yeah,
the ones
you
we
see,
saw.
like some guys or girls in the city like riding around on the streets with the light up bike wheels, that was really cool.
Yeah, I think. Are you talking about the ones with the infomercial that we saw? That the
no, like we've seen the bike wheels just like on the streets, like downtown.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Like just in the bike, like in the inside spindles, where not like as like the whole circle, not like wrapped. Like it was like the wheel that was. It was really cool.
And of course, this is the mid 2000s, so you can't pimp out a car without giving it spinning wheels, spinning dubs. Man, that was the most ridiculous fad to ever
Oh my god!
happen.
And whenever you see them on the highways today, you're like,
oh yeah,
you just want to know about that person.
You're like, man, bro, you're hanging on a little too long. Like even like in 2010 when you saw him, you're like, whoa,
I would
we're
love to
way
see the
past
inside
that.
of their house, because if that's what their car looks like I bet they have like a bedazzled, what was it, Ed Hardy T-shirt, and
You know it.
Oh yeah.
Let's see here. So they had 1985 Ford Ranger. Was giving a pearl orange paint job and lowered 3 inches because that's what every car needs to be done. And
They destroyed in the potholes. No way we can have a lower car. I mean,
no, not out here.
With the curbs that I run over,
Yeah.
and like,
Yeah.
I hit the curb at
Curbs
the bank
beware.
every time, and I'm so Nick at Wells Fargo. God love you because he sees
Saved
me.
you.
Oh, he sees me ram into this curb every single time, and thank God we have a high car.
Let's see here. Oh, so they this one they put a ping pong table in the truck bed, slid out and revealed a couch
Okay, I
and
would like
TV
that. I
with
would like the
Nintendo
ping pong.
GameCube. So just for just those 4 things is like exactly what I would want.
Like,
if I was a high schooler and I had a truck, I'd want a ping pong table in the back, a couch with a TV, and a Nintendo GameCube. That checks every box right there.
except you would not like the Nintendo GameCube.
I mean, I don't. It's not my favorite
That's
console.
one console you've never even talked about getting.
Because it was never one I had, nor like my friends like Heath. They had one, but we only played like FIFA on it or stuff like that. We because like Smash Brothers is really huge on that, but we never
Lauren
got into
always
that.
played. She always played King Kong. Lauren Houseman. Love you, Lar.
You and Houseman, you guys got plenty of stories.
Always.
And then last couple here, the Ford Econoline 1985 is a van turned into a limousine for a band that the owner played for. They put a hot tub
And
in the
that
rear.
definitely did not pass inspection.
I mean, what you hit one stop with the hot tub in the back, and all that water comes flying out in the middle. Probably gets on your instruments and your amps, just ruining everything that you've worked for, just because you wanted the hot tub.
No, he didn't even work for it. He turned his car over and had to pay taxes.
Well, I'm talking
on it.
for the band, the instruments and the amps.
Oh.
those other things
It's
that
like
they
he's pissed
work
because
for.
he has to pay taxes on it, and he didn't even want this shit.
Yeah, a Buick Century 1986. The while West Coast crew removed the back seats, replaced it with the audio jackhammer, a 22-inch subwoofer, weighing 369 pounds.
Whoa.
Why was that
See,
even
that's
necessary?
what I'm talking about. Like, I need my Costco toilet paper in the trunk of the car. I do not need a 370-pound base.
There's no way that should be there. The decibel meter was installed in the dash to alert Jake, the owner, to keep it down. Why? If you have a 370-pound subwoofer, uniquely due to wanting a retro 1950s nature for the car, this would perhaps be the only car in Pimp My Ride's history to have a flat black paint. So normally they give him all those crazy paint jobs we talked about. I guess the car was his grandmother's. She was a chain smoker. They found so many butts in the car that the exhibit had joked that his grandma's lungs must be as black as I am, which is a funny joke.
Yeah.
You didn't find it very funny.
I mean, I don't know.
Let's see. So that was the some of the obscure ones. There's definitely other ones, but those are ones that kind of stood out to me. So now we're getting to the Twitter shout outs, because we got some Twitter shout outs. People we put out, how would you pimp your ride with nostalgia? So we had a couple people chime in before we get to ours. So the first one.
First of all, when you told me this question, I was also very confused. You were like, think about like how you would pimp your ride with nostalgia. So when I first thought about it, I was like, okay, how would I pimp my Build-A-Bear with nostalgia?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. But then I was like, oh, how would I pimp my ride? Okay.
Yeah, see, I figured it would catch on.
It would. The girls had to help.
So the first one was Selling Out at the Selling Out show. They put saggy roof upholstery, ashtray loaded with crushed blue true blues, feathers dangling from the rear view that double as roach clips, back seat littered with McDLT containers, flux capacitor, and some wood paneling on the exterior. Oh, cassette deck with the infectious grooves tape stuck in it.
I love the wood paneling. So can I just say, one time I was driving down the road with my mom, and we saw this like old station wagon, right, with the paneling on the side, and I was like, "Look, Mom!"
The Woody, they call
Yeah,
it.
I was like, "Look, Mom, a Woody!" And she was like, "You are so gross. Like, Sarah, get your mind out of the gutter." And I'm like, "Mom, like it is a Woody, like
Shell
it is
Dog?
a wood
You learn.
station
You
wagon."
got your crazy talk from Shell Dog.
I guess. But no, so I appreciate who was that?
Selling Out. I appreciate the saggy roof upholstery, because that is something my parents. We had a Cutlass, Oldsmobile, and all the time we had to
It
push.
just kind of grosses me out.
We'd have to push the upholstery up because it kept starting to sag, and it got to a point where like we'd get in it, and it'd be like right above our
Bed
heads.
bugs.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. Well, I think my dad got sick of it, and ripped it off.
Yeah,
And
why
so
not
that-
just cut it? Or
Well, we thought
pin
we could manage it.
or-
We put people putting pins up there
yeah,
and stuff like
that's what I'm
that.
talking about.
But
Use the staple gun.
we totally ripped
like-
it out, and then we would just put our fingers, because it was like foam.
Yeah.
So you just put your fingers
What
up in
what
there.
car was this?
It was a Oldsmobile Cutlass,
Hmm.
old school.
I don't remember you talking about this car.
It was my sister's high school car. She hates it to the death.
Not Penelope.
No, that was a different car.
Okay.
So next one is April at April 4203. She said, my car would have a ping pong table in the trunk with a hot tub as a back seat and the lazy boy recliners as driver and passenger seats. The car would have scratch and sniff sticker wallpaper with New Kids on the Block blasting through the CD player. I think that's a pretty solid one. The ping
Shout
pong
out to the New Kids on the Block.
Yeah, new kids. The ping pong table is a solid one. Lazy boy as your driver and passenger seat. That's dangerous.
Okay, no, hell no. I would love it as the passenger seat. Driver's seat, I don't even want it in my home. Why would I want it in my driver's seat?
Yeah, no, I definitely would fall asleep if I had a lazy boy at my disposal while driving. But no, New Kids on the Block blasting. Of course, you gotta. New Kids was they're still huge among the older folk, the the mid 30s.
BSB is coming back.
Oh yeah, if my sister could go on those
Everybody.
cruises that they have, she would.
Well,
but
we may
she
have to
hasn't
go-
quite reached that level yet.
Can we ask Tish if she would go on a Backstreet Boys cruise versus? Because no. Listen before you shake your head.
I know she wouldn't.
Just listen to me, because New Kids is obviously done. Been there, done that. We've all seen that documentary. They're obviously done with the cruises, but I would love to go on a cruise with your sister and one of those. So maybe she would go on the Backstreet Boys cruise,
Possibly.
and I would love to go with you.
I mean, I would dance. You know, I would dance. So, we'll put in the word. We'll see what she says.
So yes, thank you.
It's April. Let's see. Are you thinking April? Thanks, April. Then the last one we got is Ivan Crink at Crinkman. I would take a cartoon car like Benny the Cab from Roger Rabbit, so you could morph into and create whatever I wanted in the car, like Hawaiian Punch beer helmet dispenser, or turning the back of the car into a ball pit.
Okay, I don't know Benny the Cab from Roger
Benny the
Rabbit.
Cab from Roger Rabbit helps save the day at the end.
Ah, that's better. I can't believe they locked me up for driving on a sidewalk.
Come on, Eddie, get in!
It was just a couple of miles. I'll drive.
But I want to drive.
No, I'll drive. I'm the cab. Out of my way, pencil neck.
I don't quite remember. Like, I kind of like have a vision, but
Sacrilege.
I can appreciate the ball pit in the back of the car.
Yeah, that's another one.
As long
like,
as it's not filled with diapers and Band-Aids.
or snakes.
No.
Remember?
At
Yes.
Chuck E. Cheese, it was all diapers and Band-Aids.
There were plenty of stories back in the day where kids were getting into those ball pits that were outside,
Wait,
and there'd
I
be
was like,
snakes.
where did you go to these ball pits?
There'd be snakes up in there. So yeah, probably mostly in Texas, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Mostly that
it was
region.
Like mine were filled with Band-Aids and piss. So,
Well,
the moment we've
we've
all
made
been
it.
waiting for.
We've made the time that you have mostly been waiting for,
Oh,
but everybody
so
else
excited.
possibly as well. Is we're going to pimp our rides with nostalgia. So since I've heard yours, I'll go first, and then we can hear yours.
Okay.
All right. So my car, if I wanted to pimp it out, it's gonna be
What,
the
like, is this all in one car?
yes.
Okay.
This is all in one.
Okay.
Like everything that I say, start piecing it into one vehicle.
Because I definitely, when I was thinking of my ideas, just as a forewarning, these are just my ideas that I would like in a car. It's not all in one. Okay, go.
Well, it should be all in one. That's the whole
Well,
point.
I didn't get that part.
It's all right. That's how we're gonna envision it.
Yeah.
All right. So with mine, it's gonna be the Ghostbusters Ecto 1 body with
So like that one.
like that one right
Okay,
here,
okay.
and then it's gonna be the gull wing doors from the Back to the Future DeLorean. So they're gonna pop out,
Oh.
and they're gonna make that whole noise whenever they open.
The
So
smoke too.
exactly, the
Yeah,
smoke is
the
gonna
smoke
happen,
has gotta come
and
out.
it's gonna have the fire jet engine like the back of the Batmobile.
Like the one. You pretty just lined it up.
Hey, I had some inspiration in front of me, so I used it.
You have to post that on when you post.
And
that's your inspiration.
And then of course I liked selling Alex Vision because I had to put on mine that I wanted the vehicle to have some Woody style paneling on it.
Oh.
So old school, of course, with that. You can't have a long station
I didn't
wagon
even think about
body.
the outside yet.
Yeah, see, I went outside,
See,
and
I
then
didn't go full vision. I wish I would have gone full vision.
so now I went projector in the back with multiple gaming systems, just like we have right here. This Nintendo, Super Nintendo.
You don't
N6
even need it in your car.
What?
Well, I mean, we can get a projector for the teardrop.
Oh, it's gonna happen one day.
Yeah.
N64, GameCube, Sega, PS1 through 5, Xbox 360, Xbox One, all of them. They're gonna be on the projector.
Okay.
That you could shoot out to some screen that you can set up, those inflatable screens.
Ooh, what if it was a touch screen projector?
We're going old school. Remember,
Ah.
old school. Keep trying to keep it old school.
You can go old school with new school flair. That's what Pimp My Ride was all about.
That's true. That's true. In the middle console, I'm gonna have a refrigerator stocked with Surge, Squeeze-Its, and Zima.
And Big Red.
And Big Red, yes. Of course.
Mondos. Can we do Mondos?
Goes without saying.
I love
you-
the Mondos.
Are we gonna have a Mondos versus Squeeze-It conversation?
Well, no, I think we already have.
Oh yeah.
I like Mondos. You like Squeeze-Its?
Squeeze-It. Which Mondos were the shorter ones.
No, Mondos were the bigger ones with like the circle, like it looked like the earth, like on the top.
Oh yeah.
But now you just have an Uncle Mondo, so it's just
that's
like,
all. It just kind of goes to one person.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm gonna have a George Foreman grill in the glove box.
Oh, I got you beat.
So
I
so
got
you just fold. So you fold out the passenger's in charge of the grilling.
Wait, is it okay? Is it like a panini press? Whereas if you like fold the glove box up, that's when you grills? Or when you pull out the box, do you have another arm that folds over?
No, I would say you put it up, and that would be the so you can grill something. You can put it up for a little bit.
Yeah, you like press it in
because every grill needs a lid, so that's technically would be the lid for the grill.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, see, I was thinking. I like overthought.
Innovative. I know you had time. I did not.
And then waterbed / couch for everyone to chill out on.
Nobody wants a waterbed.
Everybody in the 90s wanted a
Nobody
waterbed.
wants a waterbed.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody wants a waterbed now, but back in the day, everybody wanted a waterbed.
Nostalgia.
You're forgetting one key aspect.
It's the red wine.
You're forgetting one key aspect. Yes. I remember sleeping on, like, not sleeping, but like a couple of my friends' parents would have waterbeds, so we'd go lay on them, and I'd just like sit there. You just do this for like 5 minutes. Your body would just have that little motion.
I only have been on a waterbed like once or twice.
We need to talk to somebody who's owned one for a long time, and like, what's the long-term repercussions?
I just like think that it's bad for the body.
I've heard that it's not great for the back long term.
No.
I mean, it's a good novelty concept, but
I mean,
those
I'm
things
a
are
stomach sleeper. Can you imagine?
Imagine trying to flip your mattress. Trying to flip that thing full is like 500 pounds.
You don't flip a waterbed, Carlos.
I know.
You just like
I'm just
unfill
joking.
it.
I'm just joking.
It's like you unfill it and refill it.
I think you need more wine. So the next thing is we got a 1,000 disc CD player playing nothing but throwback jams like jock jams.
Yes.
Yes.
Do they come out with this still? Because they had like
sadly,
like
I don't
3,
think so.
7, like how many?
I think Dan Cortez is retired.
Do they have nows still?
Yeah, they do. I think somebody pointed out. I think it was a joke, but they came out now 69. But I think they've gone further than that. So I'm not sure if I fell for the joke or not.
Second base.
I think I fell for the joke. Yeah. So there would be a Game Boy and Game Gear handhelds built into the back of the seats, so you could play any game you wanted.
Yeah, it sounds exactly like a Best Buy store.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to take all those like demo games that they had at Best Buy and Walmart, that's basically what I want in the car. And then rooftop, we're going to have a kiddie pool, those blue kiddie pools.
Yeah.
That has a built-in slide on it.
Is it the big side one?
Yes.
Like how are we
because
talking
it's going to be
18 inches sidewall? Or
a hot tub
like
/ kiddie
6?
pool up top.
Okay. So you need like the 18 inches sidewall. Yeah.
So we're going, but it's got to be blue like the old school ones. And then lastly, we're going to turn all side windows into lava lamps.
Ooh. How about mood windows?
That too.
I like that.
Yes. I was particularly proud of that one.
Ooh, I got to add this. Hold on. Let me just.
You're gonna get in.
Let me just type right here.
So that was mine. So if you could put that envision all that together into one car, that was mine. I think it's the ultimate nostalgic Pimp My Ride for me.
I'm so excited.
Okay, so now we're on to yours.
Okay, so I'm 31. My nostalgia is probably different than a lot of other people, but again, I did not think of this as a whole concept car, so I can't tell you where these things preside in the car, but I would just like to see this. It'd be cool. Also, I had help. Shout out to my girls Sierra and Heidi at work. They helped me come up with these. Okay, so I would like to see a Polly Pocket Land within my car.
Love it already.
I think that the Polly Pocket Land, as I'm thinking about this, sorry, I'm going to talk it through, but I think the Polly Pocket Land would be really cool on the dashboard. Like if I'm just driving, sitting at a stoplight, she can jump into the pool. Like
you can just move like a game board, just move her along.
But like my day, like, okay, so Brooke's Polly Pockets are totally different than our Polly Pockets. Our niece, who is 15, no, she's going to be 15 in April. Oh my God. Her Polly Pockets are literally the size of like a watermelon. My Polly Pockets were the size of my fist. So yeah, they would be really cool on the dashboard, I think. I would also like here we go. I did think of this. The actual car would be the Barbie Dream House car, where it's like hot pink on the outside. You could do the convertible if you wanted to. Maybe it'd be one of those Barbie cars that like are the vans that convert into the boat.
I think that's what you should go with.
Yeah.
Because those were huge. Like those were like
awesome.
gigantic.
Oh, those are massive.
Gigantic.
If that was it, okay, so we'll just go with that's like the outside concept because all of this will fit within that.
There you go.
Yeah,
We're going with the Barbie van as a concept.
Okay, so I was also very obsessed with the Doodle Bears. So I would like Doodle Bear furniture or like a Doodle Bear wall or like something Doodle Berry where you can just wash away and draw on it again.
I like it.
The glove box, as you were saying, I've got you beat.
How?
My glove box, if you could take it one way or the other, female, male, whatever, it would either be the Creepy Crawlers or an Easy Bake Oven. One of the two. It beats the George Foreman.
Yes, I would give you that.
Yeah.
Creepy Crawlers is awesome.
Creepy Crawlers were so
You could
cool.
be on a road trip and you're just like, you know what? We need some Creepy Crawlers.
Yeah.
Are you hungry? We'll forget about it because I'm making us some
bake
Creepy
you a cake.
Crawlers.
Yeah, let me put my Easy Bake Oven.
Or Easy Bake. Yeah, does anyone want some cupcakes?
So this one is probably my favorite feature of all. I would really enjoy like a Michelangelo style, like Lisa Frank mural on like the roof of the whatever we
Unicorns, rainbows, all that good stuff.
Give me the more color, the more glitter, the more unicorns, like all that. It'd be great. We also thought that like some type of like warhead game, so you had to like eat 4 warheads or something like before.
It was dangerous game.
Well, you know how like people with DUIs, they have to blow into like the things, you know. So I think it would be cool if you had to do like 4 warheads, all 4 different flavors, and then like I don't know, see if you can eat something sour. Who knows? It'd be cool. I don't know, just a thought. So aside from the Lisa Frank mural, second best feature of the car, and this is getting into the big details. Can you guess it?
I can't.
The Bop It steering wheel. I mean, because who doesn't want to play while they're driving? Who doesn't want to? I mean, I think that if we all had Bop It steering wheels, road rage, maybe bop it, push it, twist it, turn it. Like, who knows what our road rage would be? Like,
It's
I think
true. or the accidents from just yanking your steering wheel. Like, I hate this game. Just
like if we all
yanking
had
it.
lavender pumping through our like AC units and bop it on the steering wheels and just some kind of good meditative music, we all may be happier in the world.
I think so.
Let's see. Tamagotchi. I would have a Tamagotchi keychain.
A must have.
Also keeping that baby alive at stoplights. I have a lot to do at stoplights.
Me too. You're gonna be busy.
In the back, moving to the back. I think all of this is into the back. Yep. A few features elsewhere, but I would have a Pog playing table.
Ooh.
My brothers and I definitely played Pog. And
Ultimate
I had
slammers.
The slammers that, oh yeah, we had them filled to the brim. We had our card shops up by Deerberg's that we'd go to. Like it was a huge ordeal. So not only would I need a Pog table, I would also need an air hockey table.
Oh.
Because classic 90s, that was my growing up stage. Air hockey, where it would be awesome if you could just have like one side, like, you know, those like flip tables, and it would just like.
Oh, I've
like,
talked about
flip.
those 3-in-1s that used to be like an air hockey table, pool table.
Yep.
Yeah.
The flip tables would be great. So I'm also a little bit of a softie. Again, I grew up in the 90s. I need a little Beanie Baby reading nook. Like, I just need to read my historical fictions.
Just snuggle up to some Beanie Babies.
Like, again, I don't really, like, Carlos has his second room. I need my space.
It's
so
true.
maybe
I've taken over, but with permission.
With permission, maybe I just go into my Beanie Baby reading nook and just like get down on some of the Crazy Rich Asians. That's my next reading novel. Let's see. So I also need a built-in beeper somewhere. I don't know what that feature would be. Any suggestions?
In the dash, gotta be.
But like, what would the beeper tell you?
Oh, I mean, you gotta have the old school, all like the 911s, the.
Or like red light ahead. Oh, traffic ahead.
Oh well, I guess that.
Ooh,
that's
you
the
know, it'd
kinda-
be really cool if the beeper could tell you which route to go. If the beeper was Google Maps,
Or
but
maybe
more
it just
correct.
only just texted you boob.
Why? Is my boob hanging out?
No.
Okay, so I loved this one. The light up yo-yo on the antenna.
Oh,
like,
man.
you know, like I grew
Taking
up in
it
St.
back.
Louis. We had Jack in the Box, like the little Jack in the Box heads on the antenna. Whatever little feature you wanted to have. If he was happy, if he was in the Christmas spirit, if he was a clown, if he was on the rodeo, like whatever, I would have a light up yo-yo. So you'd be seeing me driving down the road, like blinking in different light up colors. And then last but not least was my last edition. I loved the blow up furniture. Like it was my jam. I did not own one. My mom would not allow me to, but I would.
Not even for the basement use?
Oh my God. My driver's seat would be like a lavender blow up, like recliner, puffy chair with good lumbar support.
It's a solid one.
Is that too much to
This
ask?
cars came together pretty well.
It
This
did,
van, I
yeah.
should say.
Yeah, it's a van. It's a van. And then imagine all that converted into a houseboat. Even better.
Boom, and just the wheels popping out and turning into the.
So that's my nostalgia.
I
win.
You win. I'll give you that one.
It's the red wine.
It wasn't a competition, but you declared yourself a winner. So
Thank
yes.
you, Sierra and Heidi.
But yes, so I think we did well with Pimping Our Rides nostalgically. So very nice.
Yeah.
But it went well with the old Pimp My Ride, with all the craziness that we listed off earlier, with all the things they put on those other cars.
Right. Well, in the end, I think it's just like a fun piece of like pop culture that we can all like think back on and remember what other trashy reality TV we were watching.
The show like created the whole like pimp my this, like not only were businesses taking over, but like it was like in pop culture, like you said, people were saying like pimp my whatever as a joke, you know. It's like it was a parody in most cases, but it was still in the lexicon of people's minds in the mid 2000s.
It is very true.
And even to this day, like I don't know too many people who would talk shit on Pimp My Ride. Everyone's like, it was a good show. It was an entertaining show to watch.
Very entertaining. Unlike The Bachelor, not entertaining.
Yeah, we're not even gonna start with that.
I watch.
But so that was the Pimp My Ride episode. Thank you for filling in last minute here. You did a wonderful job.
Thanks, babe.
Yes,
It's fun.
It is always fun.
Cheers.
Cheers to our great episode here.
And weird night.
It'll be a long night of editing for
to
me.
go wash my hair color out.
But we'll make it work. So other than that, everyone, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Be Kind and Rewind podcast. Subscribe and rate us on all podcast apps, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart Radio, YouTube, and Infirmary Media Podcast Network. Also, follow the podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Be Kind Rewind Pod for all of your nostalgic needs. So thanks, and be excellent to each other.
You're listening to
Infirmary Media. Did you hear that?
Infirmary Media.
Infirmary. Is anybody there?
Docking complete.